Hi, welcome. I am so glad that you're here and joining us today. My name is Crystal. If you haven't done so already, please introduce yourself in the chat. I'd love to know who's joining us, where you're coming from as well, and the name of the nonprofit that you serve with. I really hope for a lively chat discussion today as we embark on our webinar. I am in there chatting alongside you. It says Ministry Sync. Really, it's me. Please do chat. I look forward every time during these webinars to the conversations that will conspire. Is that the right word? I think so. Within the chat. So please log into YouTube. It's your Google login, and then participate in the chat as well. Today's webinar is actually a roundtable discussion. We recorded this yesterday. And the discussion is with 3 different centers that held virtual baby bottle campaigns online, specifically in 2020. Most of them did it for the first time in 2020. However, here at Ministry Sync with our Fundeasy platform, we have actually been hosting virtual baby bottle campaigns for over a decade. But they definitely picked up last year. So during our conversation today, these centers are really going to share with you kind of what their baby bottle campaigns looked like, 2019 and prior, and then in 2020 as they utilized Fundeasy to take those online. They're going to share about really the nitty-gritty details of all of it, from promotion to marketing to participation, to things that they're so glad they did and will repeat, and things that they wish they'd done and will do again, or do better, or implement for the first time next year. So without further ado, I will jump into this pre-recorded conversation. I hope that it's as much of an encouragement to you as it was to me. I wanted to start with a general introduction just of who is in the room. So if you all could share, we have 3 different centers represented here. So if you can share your name and about your organization. Also, would you consider yourself smaller, larger, rural, urban, etc.? So just we can go in order of my screen. So Lynn, if you want to start, that would be great.
Okay, so Amy and I are from Women's Choice Network in Pittsburgh. We have 3 centers that are operating rural. One is in Oakland, which is a big college campus, close to Pitt and Carnegie Mellon and a few other smaller colleges. And we have one suburban campus or center, and then we have another center that's within the city limits. So I would guess all in all, it's more urban. I don't know, Amy, if we're medium-sized, I don't know what to compare to. But, we have 3 very busy centers right now. So.
Right, yeah, we're like a lot of centers, we've been around for 30 plus years, 35 years, and in Pittsburgh, which is a more urban setting. And certainly the people that we see, probably 60% are African-American women. So it is a demographic that, is reaching the abortion vulnerable person, abortion determined person. And I guess on the scale of bigness, I don't know how to rate that either, Lynn. I guess we're, bigger than some, smaller than some. So, but I think our budget right now is about $1 million, and Baby Bottles is probably our second highest fundraiser, each year. So Baby Bottles plays a really big part in our budget.
Awesome. And Lynn and Amy, what are your roles at the center, and what were your roles with your campaign?
Well, I am the church outreach director, so I typically am running the live baby bottle campaigns, and just in constant contact with our churches as far as what we can do for them and how they can help us out. This year obviously was a lot less driving around and a lot more online. So that's basically what I do.
Great. Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you.
And I'm the executive director. And for years, I was, schlepping baby bottles around, and I always said the person who made more money on baby bottles was the chiropractor, because you have to lift all those heavy bottles all the time. But Lynn has taken over that entirely, and that's been a really terrific addition to have somebody who is dedicated to the churches and finding out who they are and how they work and how to best serve them.
Yeah, what a blessing to have that as a dedicated role.
Yeah, Lynn's awesome.
Man, thank you, ladies. Jen, you're up.
I'm Jen. I am the office manager for the SCV Pregnancy Center, and we're located in Southern California, just north of Los Angeles. And yeah, I can probably let Jeff answer most of those questions. I do the more behind the scenes with the events, things that we do. So
great.
Yeah, she's pretty key though. She's very, very helpful. We're in the suburban location, probably more Caucasian white community, about 250,000 people. We're separated by a big wall of mountains all the way around, and so we are kind of just what we'd call a bedroom community to LA County. Upper middle class, definitely, in terms of the community. But we have about 40 churches that are involved with us on a regular basis, and most of them have done the baby bottle with us. And the organization's been around for 33, going on 34 years, and so it's well established.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Mary.
I'm Mary. My title is the Director of Church Outreach and Donor Relations. So I work with all of the donors and all the churches, except for our major donors. We have another person that works with them. So about 50% of my job seems to be baby bottles. And we have about 54 churches that do the baby bottle campaign for us. We're located in Aurora, Illinois, which is about 30 miles west of Chicago. So we're very urban, suburban, and rural in the people that we serve. We serve about a 7-county area, although there are other pregnancy centers, but we're directly next door to the Aurora Planned Parenthood, which I think right now it's currently their 5th largest in the nation. So, and we were founded as a direct response to them opening in Aurora. We serve about 1,100 women a year here in our center, which compared to what they're doing next door seems to be nothing, but we're growing every year. And just know that churches and baby bottles are just something that are so popular with all of our donors that they really support us in a big way, because I think partly because of what we do, but our location as well.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Well, great. Wow. And let's continue just as we ask questions and talk through things. When we have a new question, we'll just go in the same order. So we kind of know the plan there. So I'm curious, what did your baby bottle campaign look like prior to 2020 and to lockdowns and having to take all or part of them online? And then what did they look like in 2020 when you had to take them either totally or partially online?
So in 2019, since it was a normal year, we serve about 65 churches that run the campaign. And, they all have their schedules as to when it's good for them to run the campaign. We would be in touch with them about a month before the campaign starts, talk about what their needs were, send them, electronic advertising they could put in their bulletins, and then supply them with the bottles, posters, baskets, whatever was needed for them to have in the back of their churches for pickup. And then during the campaign, just touch base with them, see when they needed a pickup, finalize the campaign, send them final numbers and thank yous. And we also, usually once a month, sometimes twice a month, we'll send out just an informational publication via MailChimp as to what's going on with our centers, what's going on with our ministry, any updates, anything that they love to volunteer. So anything that we need them to bake for or volunteer time for. So we try to keep in touch with them more than just once a year. So come March, then obviously everything sort of came to a halt for a few weeks until we figured out what we were going to do. And then when the virtual option came out, 4 of us and our office staff got together, ran a test page, and just uploaded all 65 churches, made a separate fundraising page for each of the churches, went on the internet, copy and pasted the pictures of their church or messages that they had. So we tried to personalize each of their pages, set different goals based on what they raised the prior year, put that goal in there, put a personal message on each page about, how this was going to work and why we were doing this, and a little bit about our centers. So as the year progressed, it picked up and more people understood it. It was still a little bit difficult because some churches just didn't really embrace it, or they had an older population that they didn't feel would understand it. So I think we got most of the kinks worked out, but it was definitely a transition.
Yeah, for sure. And that sounds like a lot of work on your end. So you added all the churches and customized their pages.
We did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well done.
We banged it out in one day, though. Really, it just took it took 4 people. We did it all in one day, and it really was. We really felt like afterwards that it was worth all that work. So, yeah.
Great. Awesome.
Yeah, we've done it very similar to Lynn in the past. We've been very successful in it. It's been about our third largest event. We've put out about 6,000 bottles. Our high, I think we raised a high 70s, high $70,000 mark, and it's just been very good. A lot of good church support in that. Last year we went and tried to use Ministry Sync for the event, and we came down about a good half of that amount, unfortunately. We did do a little bit of physical bottles, but not nearly as much, maybe a few hundred compared to 6,000. So it was significantly different than what we had hoped. And so kind of looking to see if anybody has any good ideas about how to do it a little bit better this year. Because we all know change is going away. I don't know if you have in your communities signs that say, please pay exact amount, or, use your card. But in those cases, I guess there's quite a coin shortage. So it's going to be a different event in the future.
So when you set up your campaigns online, did you set up pages for the churches, or did you ask them to set up a page, or how did that work for you guys?
We asked them to participate. We did it basically the same way we do with the walk. We promoted it individually and through the churches, and asked them to promote it through the Ministry Sync website.
Okay.
We
provided a link, allowed them to either raise individually or raise as a group.
Yes, we had a lot of churches that created their own page and then did their own little mini thing, created their own team, I guess, and then individuals that did it separately. So they did that on their own.
Oh, so then churches, participants of the church or members of the church could give toward the church or set up their own page.
We had a few that did it that way, yes.
Okay. Okay. Great.
So we're very similar too. Like our baby bottle campaign, the traditional campaign, runs throughout the year. It's very heavy in January, then Mother's Day to Father's Day, and then again in September and October for Respect Life Month. And so in 2019, we raised $275,000 with our baby bottle campaign. So it's very robust. The churches, they've done it. I've worked with them for 8 years now, to do it. So I have great teams that were always willing to do things, but a lot of them are older. Respect Life committees, different people, the secretaries in the churches, they were, so when we were going virtual and everything shut down in March, we really were like, what are we going to do? Because we knew we could still send bulletin announcements, but nobody wanted the baby bottles anymore. We'd still do whatever. So we set up an initial donation page that we tried with 3 of the churches to see what it would be like to do something virtual. And they were enthusiastic, but it was just a link to our donor website. And it did not bring it brought in a third of the money that they would typically bring in. So we thought, then what are we going to do going forward? One of the things that worked really well was I wrote a letter to all the pastors recognizing the difficulty they were facing and said, but we still need you and we're partners in this. And so what do we do? How do we do this? And so about 20 churches came on board for the fall campaign that we started. It kicked off October 1st and ran through November 15th. And what I did with them is we too just created the churches as teams. But then I went to all of my contacts at the churches and said, are you willing to do this? What do you think? Come in and look at this ministry sync, this Fundeasy thing with me, and let me know what you think is going to work for you and what's not going to work. So with probably 5 of the churches that I worked with the longest, we kind of determined we thought this was going to work best. So we not only had the churches at teams, but we had the churches as the main fundraiser, with my liaison as the person that managed their page. Some of them ran with it and developed their page on their own and did the pictures and uploads. Others, we did it here in my office. And I did it with them because I wanted them to have ownership of it. So I think it went very well. We raised about $75,000 in a month and a half through that. So, but I think, again, I'm probably jumping ahead. The key was getting their ownership of it. We still did the same thing, bulletin announcements. We had it on our website. We did a lot of different things so that their church members could go to their pages and do everything. So there was a lot of the traditional things when it came to marketing, but then just not the physical bottles.
Great. And when you say traditional things when it comes to marketing, can you explain you just kind of highlighted it, maybe a little bit more detail? And I'd love if the rest of you have other things that you do and could share as well. I know, sometimes we have staff that comes in and this isn't like their primary role or primary responsibility, or, they're new and it wasn't well developed before. So would you mind kind of just detailing a little bit what that marketing kind of looks like for you, what you found to be effective?
It was the traditional bulletin announcements that were very campaign themed, with like cute kitschy stuff, but it also included, like in this case, the link to their team page. We talked a little bit about how much money it costs to fill a bottle and how many bottles could you fill. So we did that. We also just made sure that we had links on our donor website. We had, Facebook. We had the churches then could pick and choose how they wanted to market it. So whether it was like through a constant contact e-blast or just sending it to their whole mailing list from the church. And then if they used Facebook, if they used Twitter, anything that they could use, we marketed in all of the avenues that we could think of. We created special ads that were very specific to each church as well, where there was some generic stuff about the baby bottle, but really about the impact that church had via the baby bottle campaign. Like if we knew that we had this many babies born last year, we kind of broke it down like, we know of 200 babies who were born and your church helped welcome that many into the family, so just, it was a lot of the messaging that we used, and then just any avenue that we could use that was easily available for the people who were running the campaign then at the church.
The one thing that we did that seemed to work is there was a publication that was issued that I forget the actual title, but it was Update from the Pandemic. So we let the donors and the churches know that we didn't close our center for one day. And actually our traffic increased, and that we were still seeing our life support people not in the office, but we were able to create it to do it virtually via Zoom and follow-up phone calls. So I think that really helped letting people know that we were still serving our clients. We let the churches know that as well. So I think that was a good tool to put out there.
That's great. When you said that was an email?
Well, it was in both. It was an email publication, and we also mailed it out to a lot of our donors.
Anyone who had given a past baby bottle gift in the past couple of years, I don't know how many years we went back, 3 years,
Yeah.
got a letter inviting them to join their church's campaign. And the other thing that we had done, I think the year earlier, Lynn, maybe, I can't remember, but we bought a URL called ebottle.org, and the URL was easy to remember. And then we put it on a little magnet. I don't know if you can see that little magnet, but it's like a little bottle shaped magnet. Can you see? It's so cute. And it says ebottle.org, so that, you know, they could just stick it on the refrigerator or whatever. And these are super mailable, so you can put them in every piece of mail. And it was just the reminder that, you know, we still do a bottle, but it's virtual. And so they were very inexpensive through Sticker Mule, or, you know, you could get them through a number of different places that make these little die cut, but they're super cute. And they, like I said, they were helpful because I think it put it in people's minds, even the year before, that they could always do it virtually. They could always, so the ebottle.org URL that we bought, we just linked that to the Ministry Sync page. So that was it just forwards right to the Ministry Sync page.
That's
so
great. Buying a URL is brilliant. Like when it comes to an event, when it comes to a campaign, you know, because it's what, a $10 investment, sometimes
right.
an $8 investment for the year, and then you can forward it to the
right.
page. That's a fantastic idea. I love that.
We sent out a mailing, also a little postcard that drove people to the website, and then provided the same artwork materials to the churches to use on their websites, and promoting if they did so as a PowerPoint type of thing. So
Great.
Yeah.
I think especially during the pandemic, people were actually looking forward to getting mail.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we did a little bit more mail than we normally would do. We did a postcard, and so I think, you know, people would get hundreds of emails a day, but when you're locked in your house and you get a postcard, you're going to pay
It's
more
not
attention.
political.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
I think a lot of centers are really hungry for, like, how do we even take this first step? So what advice would you have for people that are considering taking their campaign online this year?
I think the first thing we did is we set up a test page. We wanted to see how easy it was to maneuver, how easy it was to update the pages and upload pictures and update messages. We actually did a few test donations to see exactly how it would flow through and who would get the notifications, and made sure all that was set up and we understood who was doing what as far as that goes before we even launched it. But I think one of the things that we tried to follow was consistent messaging. We had just a message on each person or each church's page that was the same throughout all 65 churches. And when we sent an update out, it was the same message that we sent out to everyone. So I think just not recreating the wheel every time you set something up, and just doing the same thing and make it work, doing the same thing over and over, just really made it a lot less daunting to get it kicked off.
I think too, and others may help out with this, you know, to help do it better than we did. But I think one of the things is find out who the gatekeeper is, especially when a church is locked down, because the gatekeeper is the one that's going to be able to take that messaging and get it to more people. So we can reach maybe the church secretary, or in a smaller church, maybe it's even a pastor or pastor's wife. But a lot of times it's really like who's in charge of putting that on their weekly email, who's in charge of like the virtual bulletin, and finding out how to build a relationship with that person and get that message out to more people. The other thing that I would suggest is to continue with a hybrid, because people love the bottles, and I do, you know, God willing, we will see the end of this, but to make sure that your Ministry Sync page is set up so that you can add on the bottles that come in physically with money in them, or checks. And you said it earlier that the change thing is going to be that's going to be a new obstacle for us. You know, people don't have change in their pocket anymore, so you know, so the whole bottle thing may shift, but we're still going to continue with some sort of hybrid, hoping that some of the churches are opening their doors a little more freely. And we're talking about maybe even putting the bottle inside of a bag, inside of a clear plastic candy bag or something, just to add that little bit of level of safety for people who are still concerned about high touch items. So that's an idea as well.
And I think along with what Amy just said, we not only had our typical baby bottle liaison and then found the gatekeepers, but also found what we called other heroes in the churches, like it might be a major donor to Waterleaf. And then we made sure that they were there kind of pushing things too, because our campaign that we did in the fall was for 6 weeks. We wanted something in every church publication, whether it was a bulletin or a newsletter or whatever, every single week reminding people to do it. So to have that team that included our heroes really helped drive it and like make sure that we were at the forefront and on websites, and that, you know, we have a lot of competition in here, like we all do, you know, for dollars, and the churches are competition in a way too. So it was just, yeah, just having that great team together.
Nice.
And I think on our end, just being really familiar with it ourselves, I think that I saw the challenge in the people who, you know, do love the physical bottles and maybe that are the older demographic or whatever. I had a lot of people coming to me just really confused about the whole process, and being able to like confidently walk through it with them, even on the phones, like you said, take ownership of it or whatever, just to be able to help them be confident in that. So I found it helpful for myself to just become extremely familiar with that specific virtual event, because it is a little bit different than all the other things that we did the rest of the year. But and then yeah, and also being able to add the bottles that come in, the actual physical bottles, to add those online is really helpful and encouraging to as they come in, so we can do that. So
Great. Is that something, did I hear you all did that? You all had the online portion and then recorded offline as well?
Yes.
That's great.
One of the other things that we did is we had the churches as teams, but we set up a team that was called All In for Waterleaf, for anybody who didn't want to participate through a church or identify, or because we do have non-faith-based donors, you know, that so that they could give to the All In team. And it had a goal, and it had a lot of, it was very Waterleaf centric rather than church centric. So that was pretty successful.
One of the things that we've done is added a hang tag to the bottle that has a text to give, you know, information on it, so that, you know, the younger people, or they don't carry cash at all. They just do everything on their phone now. So we're able to get some of that, capture some of that. And we also have our website and a QR code as well to the website. So we're trying to give them alternatives when we give them the bottle to fill it in a different way.
I feel like because so much went online in the middle of the year last year, that it's probably going to pick up a little more this year, the momentum for that, to be able, like, people are just going to be in the frame of mind to do it online. So I feel like it's probably going to pick up this year, that option anyway.
So when you say a hang tag, can you explain what that is?
It's a, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, John.
It's just a little card with a little elastic band that goes on the bottle, and it's got the baby bottle logo on the front, and on the back of it, it just gives the different ways that you can give.
Do you all do something in the bottle or on the bottle as well?
In the bottle.
In the bottle.
In the bottle. Yeah, we've been putting the little magnet in the bottle, and as Lynn said earlier, like a little information thing so that they can fill it out. Sometimes people do that, sometimes they don't. And we've even had like in memorial of or in remembrance of kind of information on there. So if they want to write a name of a person that they're remembering, it just helps to capture some contact info for people who put in cash or coin. Mm-hmm. And but we do definitely see a shift, don't we, in terms of where this is going in the future, and why virtual campaigns are so important, because the whole idea of change, that you're filling a bottle with change, that's changing. So we have to keep up, right? And so that's why I think this shocker of COVID, I think has helped us to think in new ways, right? About how we're going to reach the next generation and how we're going to reach the generation with technology.
All right, so we've talked about some things you guys did really well. If you had to pick 2 or maybe 3 things from your campaign that you will absolutely do the same for next year, what would those be? And then also share with me what you would do differently. You know, what are some ideas that you've had as you're brainstorming now that your campaigns are in the past, some things that you'll look at and change up for next year?
I think the one thing we'll definitely do is to set up the church pages like we did before. I think a lot of them appreciated not having to do that work, and we sort of felt like if we put it in church's hands that it might fall through the cracks, because it might be a secretary who, or the church office person that may not know a lot about, setting up a web page, and saying that to them sounds really, really intimidating. We gave them the option. It's, if you have any pictures or videos you want to send us, we can upload them. Really nobody took us up on that, but they knew that was an option. So I think we would definitely do that again. We communicated several times and pushed it out several times, and I think that's something that we can do. We'd check in with them and make sure that they didn't need anything else or had any questions. So as far as doing things differently, try to figure out a way to promote it that people would see it. It's really hard because people don't read the bulletins very well. We had maybe 2 or 3 pastors that would announce it during the service, but most pastors, they don't want to get involved with that. It's different if you're live and you have announcements at the end of the mass, but to have an online service, I don't think most pastors wanted to do plugs, if one told me. So I guess figure out a way to get around that so that more people from that church would be aware of it. And the other, possibly maybe even having a different way other than the physical bottle in the church. I'm working with the church now that is going to kick off in April, and they want to come up with a donation box that they can have in the back of church, so people don't have to touch a bottle. They're willing to take care of the security of it, and ask for checks only. So, maybe that's a way we can have like a box that looks like a bottle or something like that. So I think that's one way. One other thing I would do differently to try to capture more people that are live. So I don't know if Amy has anything to add in there, but.
No, but I've been taking notes on what you all did, so.
I saw you all writing.
Because I do think that the gatekeeper is key, and I love, Mary, that you said that that they had ownership. So we may want to think about ways to continue to build ownership, even though we're creating their page, that they're involved in the process of getting that to the right people. And because that was our main obstacle, I think, is just getting it beyond the stage of, one person knows about it at the church. And I think that, again, we really have to help the churches that are reopening to find some kind of normal, to find some kind of way that they can connect with us with something tangible. And that's why maybe the magnets, I'm not really sure, but something that is, that people are taking home. And we may think about having these in bulletins live for people that are returning to church. But I'm not really sure.
Those are good thoughts. I just pictured when you said maybe the magnets and they could take them home, I pictured like the metal door frames with your magnets just stuck on them for people to grab.
I like that.
Good idea.
Man, do that if you can. That would be so fun. I'd grab one.
I like what you guys have said about doing setting up the pages for them. I think that's a great idea because it does create a buy-in, whether they really wanted to buy in on it or not. Because if you go to the trouble of putting up a page, which is really not a lot of trouble in Ministry Sync, but if you put a page on there and tell them, hey, we've prepared a page for you, and here's a link to it, and you're all set to go. All you have to do is just tell your congregation about it and then give them the typical marketing materials to go along with it, and bottles if they'll take them. I think that's a really great idea. So
One thing I'll add to that too, Jeff, is that we didn't leave anybody out. I was really concerned about that somebody was going to go in there and look up their church name and it wasn't going to be there. And so I think we overfilled it, right, Lynn? We erred on the side of adding them even if it had been a couple years, just in case they would say yes. And so I would say that just make sure you're all inclusive on that, so that the church doesn't go, hey, they didn't even put my name on the list, So anybody because the churches feel like they have a tremendous commitment to you, even if you haven't seen anything from them in a couple years. So yeah.
We did the same thing. We made sure all the churches that participate were there as a team, whether they had fundraising done or not. And
Great.
we got a few donations through some of the non-fundraiser team, churches. So.
And I think a helpful thing for us is always to be promoting people to put it on their social media. So that's always been that's been a good thing with Ministry Sync. So it's been fun.
Makes it pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
I think like for us, if we were going to do anything differently, and I go back and forth with this all the time, is we liked having the church set up as a team buddy fundraiser. And even though a few people would sign up as fundraisers for the church, so the church total looked better, a lot of people went in and signed up as a fundraiser and then would call me and say, I didn't mean to do that. I only wanted to make a donation. So if there was some way that we could limit who was able to come in as a fundraiser for their church, that might be easier and less confusion, because really it looked like we had 50 some fundraisers, but only half of them were really active because they signed up incorrectly at first. And I could go in and deactivate some of them, but I didn't know how I could do that if they'd already made a donation via their fundraising page. So then we had all these fundraising pages out there that were just not really like proactive.
That makes sense. Yeah, if you are registering people yourselves, so if you're plugging in all the churches and just want people to donate and not sign up, there is a Fundeasy preference where you can remove the registration option. So they can't register from the public. You can only register from the admin side. I don't know if that answers your question or says what you're looking for, but I wanted to make sure you know that's a thing.
And I think just one thing that's just really key, and we've all talked about it, is that this is a partnership.
Yeah.
And I'm asking people to do a lot of work for me on their end of things. And so I have to make it as easy as I can for them to do what I'm asking them to do. So like helping create the pages, or making sure they don't have to worry about any of the verbiage that they're going to be using to promote the campaign, that we have all of that available for them and it's easy, and here you go, run with it.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And I loved your idea too, Mary. You mentioned it briefly and we haven't come back to it, but how you said it's this much, to fill a bottle, this much to fill 2, this much to fill 3. And I think when I was reviewing your page, it was $30 for 1, 60 for 2, 90 for 3. And then you say, how many bottles will you fill?
Yes.
I thought that was a really creative idea. And you can also just, again, because I mess with settings in Fundeasy all the time, I like to make sure people know they're out there. You can change the default donation amounts. So by default, it's 25, 50, 75, whatever. But you can change them to 30, 60, 90, 120 or whatever. Did you do that?
We did. We changed the default, and we just thought it sounded like, we knew that if somebody actually filled a bottle with quarters, it's about $50. We tested that somewhere along the line, but we thought, let's put odd numbers, because for some reason, someone said, oh, odd numbers are more ring with people better. It's easier to get an odd number than, so we thought, well, let's make it, most everybody can give $30. Let's, so let's fill that one bottle, but we still have people who send a $5 check-in, through the virtual campaign. So we were surprised that our average donation was $100 through the virtual campaign. So we had a $5 and then 3,000 was the biggest one we had, but a little over $100 was the average. So people were filling at least 3 bottles.
That's great.
Yeah, I do like that idea of giving them something visible that they can envision as far as filling a bottle. The one thing we do when we send out our thank yous is we have what it costs for an ultrasound, what it costs for a pregnancy test, how much it costs to run one center for one day. So we can say you raised X amount, so you helped to run our center for 4 days, provide 4 sonograms and 4 STD tests. But I like the idea of doing that on the front end as well, so the people can see that.
Did anyone use video to help promote their campaign?
We didn't use video to promote it. However, we do have a video that's on our donor, that was on our donor website, and some of the churches put that on their page, so that in the picture section, that was one of the things so that it would run. So, but we didn't make a video specifically for this, nor advertise our video. So.
We did use a video. We created one through a modified one through Keener, because they have some videos that they aren't canned, and they refresh them pretty regularly, so they have a lot to choose from. So we did use it, yes. We provided it.
Did churches pass that along? How did churches utilize the video if they weren't meeting?
Well, they are able to do video in the background, just as, if they're doing YouTube or whatever, they can embed it into the whatever they're doing, just like, now, I guess, they do live streaming on their sites, and they'll just add it to the live stream or segment it in. But I'm not sure how many actually did. I didn't go back and survey them, but we find that the more we give them, and a lot of them like using the videos, the more likely they are to use them, as opposed to not giving it to them at all. But we also, because Ministry Sync has a thing on the web page that you set up where you can put a video, we embed that video on there as well. So.
Okay.
Your page is very intuitive to be able to go in and build it and just follow the steps, and the tutorials are good. And I know I had to reach out to support a couple times, and they very gently and nicely remind me, go to the tutorial. And I'm like, oh yeah, I can do that, can't I? So, but it made it very simple, and it made it simple to be able to teach other people how to set up their page then too, after we had the initial stuff set up. So it's a great platform.
And I honestly don't think the virtual platform of fundraising is going to go away.
No.
Right.
No.
I think it's going to be around.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it definitely is. We're entering a new era for sure. And like you said, Jeff, with the change, how change is going away, there's definitely some more opportunities for virtual. I so appreciate you guys sharing your thoughts and your time. Would you mind if I closed us with prayer?
That'd be great.
Yeah, I'd love to pray for your ministries. And I'm also going to pray, since we're recording this, for those that are watching as well. So let's go to the Lord. Father God, I thank you for technology. I thank you for being such a great provider when it comes to fundraising, when it comes to being able to communicate, when it comes to brainstorming. Lord, you just provide incredible opportunities. And Lord, I thank you for the opportunity here today to collaborate with these individuals. And God, I pray that you would just bless them for the knowledge and the wisdom that they're sharing with others. Lord, I pray that the words that were shared today would be inspirational and encouraging And Father, I pray those things right back on those in attendance here, Lord, that you would bless and that you would encourage them, that you would just greatly provide for their ministries. I've said it 1,000 times this year, but it's so true. And God, I feel like we're realizing it now, maybe more than ever before, that you are our great provider, that we can confidently say and quote from scripture that you own the cattle on 1,000 hills. Lord, that you provide for our needs, that you are gracious, God, that you are good. And so, Lord, as we are seeking new ways to do ministry and to fund our ministry, we just pause a minute to recognize that it all comes from you. And so, Lord, I pray that you would greatly bless those that are within earshot of my voice, Lord, that you would bless their ministries and that they would turn and bless others that they have the privilege of ministering to. I thank you for the small part that I get to play in this. And Lord, I'm just grateful and humbled. Lord, we give this all back to you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
For those of you who are new to Fund Easy or possibly new to the concept of an online baby bottle campaign, I wanted to quick show you through what these could look like. I have here a demo page. This is a virtual baby bottle campaign. So you can see for the organization, overall, we're hoping to raise $30,000. We've raised 52%. The thermometer here, instead of being a thermometer like the traditional use of Fund Easy, the thermometer is actually a baby bottle that fills with coins as you get closer and closer to your goal. Now, as the organization suggested and really recommend during our webinar, they signed up each individual church as a fundraiser. So you can see in the leaderboard which churches are in the lead. In order to give toward a church, typically the church would send out the link to their individual page. If for some reason you hosted your baby bottle fundraiser on your website and directed right to this web page, then by saying give, the donor could choose which church they wanted to support. So you'll see all the registrants listed there. However, typically, they would get the link right from their church, so they would just be directed right to the church's fundraiser page. This is what that looks like. You'll notice the look across the pages is consistent within your campaign. This church, the baby bottle is a bit more full. They've raised 83% of their goal. Each church has the ability to write a welcome message, so a personal message to their congregation about why they are fundraising. And then you as the organization get to determine information here and about this campaign, information and about the beneficiary, so telling them a little bit more about you. And then when donors get to this page, it is just super simple to give. They click give. They can make their gift. As I click an option here, look at the baby bottle on the right, and you'll see how selecting a gift immediately impacts the goal. So my gift of $250 would get this church to 87% of their goal. Donors can give online, and they are automatically receipted. So it's just that simple. There's also back-end tools that allow you to record offline donations. So any physical money that comes in, check, cash, maybe in a baby bottle from a church, so that the total that the church has raised is reflected in there. I did want to share our pricing for Fund Easy. So Fund Easy, the service fee for a campaign is $3.99 per event. There are processing fees as well. However, donors have the option to cover those fees, and the vast majority of them do. In Fund Easy campaigns, we traditionally see over 70% of donors covering processing fees for you. We do have a promo code available. If you're interested in paying in advance, you can receive 10% off with the promo early pay. And how that works is go ahead and enter that when you are creating your campaign. You'll be invoiced within 24 hours, and you'll have a week to pay that invoice. Paying early will give you 10% off. Otherwise, the $3.99 will be invoiced after your campaign ends. So if you're not already a customer, go ahead and go to fundeasy.com, and you can hit the sign up button in the upper right corner. If you are a customer, go ahead, log into your campaign or log into your account and then choose to add a new event. You will either way see the option to add that promo code. Remember, it's early pay for a 10% discount. I hope you enjoyed our conversation today. I know when we recorded this yesterday, I was so encouraged and energized and inspired by what these individuals had done last year. So many great ideas. I had a page of notes. I expect you probably have the same. I would love to know, what are some of your major takeaways? What's something that you're going to implement in your campaign this year that you maybe hadn't thought of before this webinar? Also, many of the participants in the roundtable discussion are joining us here, so would love if we could all just give them a big thank you in the chat. So please thank those that freely gave of their time and shared their resources, their experiences with open hands. I absolutely love that about the pro-life community, that so much is done with open hands and just a desire to see others succeed in ways that they have as well. So if you have further questions, we are certainly available here at Ministry Sync. I will be including resources in our follow-up email tomorrow. So I'm linking back to the baby bottle campaigns that we discussed today from those 3 centers. I'm also going to include some other resources that we've published here, blog posts, knowledge-based articles that'll really help you as you are kickstarting your 2021 baby bottle campaign. So again, I hope this was a great investment of your time. It's always a blessing to me to be able to bring resources and encouragement to you all. So thank you for joining us, and I pray you have a blessed day.